So now what we're going to do is we're going to go over 12 principles of offense. They're a little bit esoteric, but the good thing about principles is you can apply them to a whole bunch of different places, right? Everybody's probably heard the mantra that techniques are many, principles are few. And what you learn is that principle-based learning is one of the more efficient ways because it helps you come up with a cogent and coherent plan to tying your techniques to principles, which ultimately gives you a better, more philosophical understanding of the thing you're trying to do. And if you don't know what that means, basically, very quickly, there's 3 levels of understanding, right? There's the nominal level of understanding where you know what a thing is. There's the functional level of understanding where you know what a thing is and you know how to use it generally. And then there's the philosophical level, which is kind of like, okay, now I can use it for abstract things or I can use it for unintended purposes. Kind of above that is like the spiritual level of understanding, which is a little bit too esoteric to be practical for us to even talk about, but just know that it's there. So number 1, dictate the terms of every engagement. Who knows what that means?
You're leading, you're taking charge of whatever action's happening.
You are setting the conditions in which your combat engagement ensues. So what you want to do is you want to set the location, you want to set the timing, you want to set the tempo and the pace. You want to be the one who determines as many factors as possible revolving around that engagement for your enemy. And in boxing, we do that by throwing jabs, moving, and trying to put people into position, right? So if you maintain the key terrain of the boxing ring, which is the center, you're going to be able to force them into a corner and then trap them and ambush them there, keep them there, and hit them with general impunity, right? Now, it doesn't always work that way because there's a whole bunch of intervening factors, but that's kind of tying the tactical and the strategic objectives together. Number 2, exercise offensive defense and defensive offense. So what does that mean? Who knows what that means? All right, good. Glad you asked. So offensive defense means that you're always tying the two together. Defensive offense means that you always have some element of passive defense happening while you're offending and vice versa. So if you're in a position where you're defending, what's the purpose of defense? To enable a better offense, exactly. So if I'm defending, I'm doing it purely to set the circumstances necessary to be able to employ a better offense. Conversely, while I'm offending, I need to have passive defense. My hands need to be up. I need to make sure that I have infantry covering my tanks. I need to make sure that as I'm coming in for the thrust with a sword, like if I'm doing any type of fencing, I need to make sure that I lead with the blade. That's the exercise of offensive defense and defensive offense. Number 3, have a response for every enemy offensive action. You should have a response for every action, but the problem is you don't want to get lured into overreacting to feints. So that's why I specified have a response for every enemy offensive action, meaning when they actually attack or they engage you, you know what to do. In the Marine Corps, what they do is they have the rule of 3s. And I like to apply that to boxing or whatever type of striking training. So if somebody hits you, you have 3 responses. So automatically, like when I'm starting at the beginning of a round, I have 3 combinations that are automatic. 1-1-2, 1-1-2-3, 1-2-1-2-3, or whatever. If somebody throws a jab or a double jab, I'm going to catch slip, I'm going to slip, I'm going to slip roll, or I'm going to pull counter, right? You just set up these conditional things so that they become immediate reactivity. You want to be able to not have to think about your response, but have one ready to go. All right, own all of the land around you. That means you will be on top of your opponent as soon as he gets into range, and that applies for anything. Whether you're fencing, boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, doesn't matter. As soon as they get into position for you to attack, you need to be able to seize the initiative. All right, give twice as much as you receive. If you get hit, hit him twice. Hit him twice before he hits you. If you hit him, he hits you back, hit him again. Or her, right? I don't want to be exclusive, but typically your problem's going to come from a man anyway. I can tell you that much. All right, so number 6, if the enemy gives you his head, cut it off and let the body wither. Straight from Napoleon, right? Attack the head. I would much rather have an army of sheep led by a lion than an army of lions led by a sheep. So what does that mean? The head. You should always go after the head first. Now, that needs to be taken in the sense of you need to set everything up to be able to attack the head, which is why the very next one, if the enemy gives you his body, break it. So, I like to think of it as chopping down a tree. When I throw fast shots, I attack the head because the fast shots are more likely to land, and I'm going to get a little bit more benefit out of the cumulative effect of those fast shots. When I throw hard shots, I go to the body because there's a higher likelihood of it being blocked or being somehow obstructed. But you know what? You bang on the arms long enough, what happens to the hands? The hands drop. Or you throw enough hard shots at the body, at some point their elbow is going to be in the wrong place. Their forearm is going to be in the wrong place. And you're going to be able to start chopping down the tree, right? And so what you do is you keep chopping down the tree until eventually you get to the level you want, and then you strike the head. So it's a symbiotic relationship between attacking the head and attacking the body. But it's like when you buzz somebody and they're staggered, you always see people go head hunting afterwards and they try to throw big shots to the head. That's not what you do. When you buzz somebody and you see that they're on the ropes, attack the body, so that way they're not getting air to their brain, because what comes with air is oxygenated blood going to the brain. You're helping them recover the more that they are able to breathe. So if you're missing their head, they're getting good air. Instead, force the air out of them. Now what you're doing is you're giving them hypoxia basically by stopping the influx of fresh oxygenated blood into the brain. Then you go keep throwing the fast shots at the head, and then you're going to knock them down. So, take what the enemy gives you. No victory is too small. You really got to focus on that. No victory is too small, right? Every great champion is made in whatever sport and whatever activity. Every great champion is made by an aggregate collection of smaller victories. And when you focus on that every day, when you wake up, think about, or when you're going to bed, recount the small victories of the day. Sure enough, your whole day gets better. It's amazing when you actually apply these principles to the rest of your life too. All right, don't be a one-trick pony. Be adept at many things. If your only thing, I'm going to use Deontay Wilder. If you remember him, he was champion for a little while. He had one punch. He had a straight right, and that straight right would just go right through people. The problem was it was the only thing he could do. And then Tyson Fury was able to take away his championship. And it's because he only had one trick. I always worry for fighters that that's the case, because what happens is they start to build an entire ego around one trick. And when that one trick gets defeated, so does the ego, and usually a period of depression comes. And we see that with fighters all the time who already have head trauma, which makes emotional problems even worse. All right, use the weapons of the gods: resolve, accuracy, intelligence, strength, and endurance. If you use those 5 things, you're gonna be okay, right? Resolve, the ability to get back up after you get knocked down. The determination to fight through pain and discomfort. Accuracy, we should always be focusing on accuracy for whatever we're doing. Intelligence, be smart about what you're doing. Strength, kind of obvious. And endurance, you always want to be working on your cardiovascular and your mental capacity for fighting. All right, last 2.
Were those supposed to spell the word rage?
I did that intentionally so I could remember them. All right, let the art enhance the science of war. Any type of combat. Doesn't matter if you're fist fighting, knife fighting, they're fighting intercontinental warfare. It doesn't matter, right? Let the art enhance the science. Me as a coach, my job is to give you the scientific principles. I give you the ability to be efficient. I give you the ability to use the tools correctly, and I give you the context that they're typically used. What you do is create your way of employing all of those scientific principles and distorting them as necessary for your individual body and psyche. So what's that? That's letting the art enhance the science. And last, be ever faithful to your art. It should be a principle for offense and defense that you're faithful to it and you practice it in some capacity every day. Because the more you sharpen the tools in your toolbox, the more effective they are. So So there we go. There's 12 principles of offense. I know it's a little bit esoteric, but I think that'll help you have an understanding of how and why I teach what I teach the way I teach it. All right, so now we're going to get on the bags. We're going to throw 1, 1, 2. I want you to keep these general things in mind. Focus on precision, focus on accuracy, focus on consistency, and yeah, it's going to be a good time. All right.